challenge?
I wish that I would have known how unstructured it was and how open it was for you to make your own decisions. When you get into high school, it's very structured year to year, and there's a very set path. And in college, it's not like that at all. And I wasn't really prepared for that, you know, since I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my life.
I wish that I would have known that the expectancy of your college classes is a lot harder than your high school expectancy. So you don't have that interpersonal relationship with your teachers as you might in high school. So they're not as understanding if you have sorority or fraternity homecoming pumping or homecoming practice, or if you're doing extracurricular activities that they don't know of. If you're late on an assignment, your deadlines are much more strict. So you'll get a 0. If you don't turn it in, they're not going to be understanding. You'll get a 0. Whereas if you're in high school and you have, like for me, I played basketball. So if we had an away game and I had an assignment that I needed to get done and I was traveling for basketball, then my teachers would just say, oh, it's okay, just turn it in tomorrow. And that does not fly in high school. In college, you can't do that at all.
I don't think I managed my time in high school very well. I didn't feel like I needed to study a whole lot while I was in high school, and I wasn't prepared for the amount of reading that I needed to do freshman year.
I'd say the biggest change is the amount of free time you have. In high school, you go to class from 8 to 3 every day, then you go home and do your homework. Or college, depending on how you set up your schedule, you could not have class on Friday or only have night classes, so you don't have class till 4:30 at night. And I think it's a big change, and you have so much more freedom of how to utilize your time. And so it's really important to consider that and kind of plan your week, since you don't have teachers or parents planning it for you.
I think the biggest change for me was not having my super close, tight-knit group of friends right around me all the time. I had a really close group of girlfriends from my freshman year of high school to my senior year of high school, and having them go away and not really going to school with them was hard. I spent a lot of time at OU and OSU keeping those friendships. So my freshman year, I didn't make as many tight relationships as I probably should have in college and at UCO. So I think I probably would have kept in, those close relationships while still really focusing on making a life for myself at the college that I was at.
Being on your own, you have to self-motivate yourself to go to class. You have to, pick out your schedule, things like that. You don't have mommy and daddy to hold your hand anymore. And so a lot of kids do a lot of growing up that first year. And that was the big thing, was knowing that I'm on my own and knowing that I have the ability to either do this or not do this. Time management was a problem for me. Picking my schedule, only having class certain mornings. I like to sleep in, so that was kind of a struggle at first. I didn't have anybody waking me up, but soon enough I figured out a routine that worked well for me, and it got me on track. So
I struggled managing my time in college just because I wasted a lot of time because I didn't know how to study. I stayed up way too many nights because I didn't stop looking at Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Netflix and everything. I didn't take the time to shut off everything and read and learn and know the material in order for me to get the grades that I needed. And I didn't learn that until probably my junior year of college. And I wish I would have not made such bad study habits the first couple of years, so that it wasn't so hard to break them whenever I really needed to learn the material and apply it for the rest of my career.
Well, freshman year you're required to live in the dorm, and the dorms are really awesome because you get to meet a bunch of people. The challenge, you share a bathroom with people, you share a tiny room with people, so it's really good to consider your roommate situation and if you guys can live together and respect each other's space, because I can't tell you how many times best friends room together and they aren't best friends when it's over because they can't live well together. So I think it's important to think about that.
I actually was in a fraternity, so my first year I lived in the fraternity house. So the challenge was living on a floor with 40 other freshmen guys that, they were new to college. They were wanting to stay up late, talk, hang out. But it was nice because we did have study hours. And so 10 hours a week we had to be logged on a sheet in a room with an older guy that would kind of observe us. So they stayed on us with the study hours. So that was the benefit from living there.
I lived at home for a couple of years throughout college, and I also lived in my sorority house for 2 years. I hated the fact that I had to live at home, but financially my parents weren't going to support me or just give me the money to live outside of their home when they lived 5 minutes away from UCO. They were a little bit, harsh about that, but I knew that I either had to take out loans or work 3 jobs throughout college to pay for me to live, in a house or an apartment. So to me, it was more, I kind of just had to suck it up and do what I had to do to get through college and to get my degree and get to a place where I can be financially independent from them.
I was really good about, well, I wasn't. My mom encouraged me in high school to apply for all these scholarships because academically I was successful. So I went to the counseling office and I applied for all these scholarships, and I was able to get a lot of them. So I went into college with a bulk of my first semester and second semester, I think of my first year being paid completely. So I think one thing that I should have done better was throughout my college career is to utilize the centers and all of the scholarship opportunities that were available through college, because once I entered my master's program, my 5th year of school, I actually contacted a couple of people and talked to them about scholarships, and because of my GPA and how well that I did my first semester, I actually got paid to go to graduate school.
Their first year of college, I know for me, I took a couple classes that were probably a little too challenging that I was not expecting. I actually had to drop one. And so my advice would be to take some of those early on gen eds, the psychology, sociology, things like that. Just because this is your first semester out in the real world, you're on your own, things like that. So I would wish that I could have a little bit lighter school load so I could adjust to college life a little better.
Helpful.
I received 10 hours of AP credit, and then I took 6 hours of concurrent credit at UCO. And I would say it's probably the most helpful thing I did before I got to college. With me being a business degree, you don't have to take a lot of science. So being able to get out of chemistry or any type of science with a lab and be able to focus more on my, business classes, or maybe not take such a heavy load, that was a huge benefit. And then my concurrent classes I took actually ended up being kind of really difficult classes at OU. So being able to do those at UCO and get those out of the way was super helpful. And just like the AP ones, like it was a semester that I maybe got to take 12 hours instead of 15. So I got to focus a lot more on the classes that I was in and that were important to me, rather than, history or health or any of those classes.
So I did a practicum study my senior year of college, and which was a little bit too late for me. A practicum is kind of like an internship, but it's unpaid. You have to spend a certain amount of hours at a facility doing a set thing. So mine was at a psychiatric hospital in Norman, and I had to be there for a certain amount of hours each week, and I had to shadow psychologists, psychiatrists. I had to have my own patients and keep record of everything. It was a little bit too late because I realized that that's not something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So really research what you want to do and plan on it being something that you continuously do for the rest of your life.
I was the chapter president of my sorority, and the amount of people I dealt with by doing that helped me so much with talking to people and how to approach certain situations, and conflict for sure. I know that is not something super looked at when you consider what am I going to learn while I'm at college, but how to deal with conflict, and especially in a situation where you're responsible for managing it.
I was involved with an organization on campus, CEC, the Council for Exceptional Children, and so we did a lot with the local Stillwater adult group, adults with disabilities. We planned dances for them. We did a bunch of different things. And so once I figured out I wanted to be a special ed teacher, I really got involved in that group, and that's a really good thing to have on my resume, and I made a lot of good connections that I still use to this day.
take math your senior year, because I only took it for one semester and I struggled immensely with college math. You think that math in high school is a joke and that it's something that you just brush off and, oh, it's okay, I know that. No, college math is extreme and it's hard, and you really need to buckle down and do it your senior year even if you don't want to.
I would say just to be goal oriented. I know that's really daunting at times because sometimes you don't know what you want, but the way I always viewed my college experience was, 5-10 years from now, where do I want to be? And that really helped me pick my major too, because I was like, okay, I want to own my business one day. And the way I process my goals are, work backwards. Okay, if I want to own my own business, like, what major should I have? What extracurriculars should I have? And all that kind of stuff. So I think, as much as it sounds so cheesy to be like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? If you think about that, it can really set you up down a path that college could really be rewarding.
I would advise getting involved as many things now so you're not shell shocked when you get to college. Because when you do get to college, if you don't get involved in something, college can be a little rough if all you've got is the school side of things. So join a club now, get involved in something, so when you get to college, you kind of have a passion for something other than just your school. Not that school is not important, but I think you can learn just as much in college from other things outside of the academic area.
I would say if you haven't already gotten involved in Memorial, really spend these last couple of years, branching out and trying new activities and joining new clubs and meeting new people, because I've met some of the best people in my life at Memorial, and they're still in my life to this day. And I think Memorial is a really rare high school that is, you leave it and you love it and you continue to love it throughout your college experience and say how great your high school experience is. I haven't met anyone from Memorial that has graduated from Memorial and not loved high school. It's very rare that you meet those people. So enjoy it while you're here, make some great friends, and take those memories with you to college.